Hello, hello. Let's talk today about this beautiful astrological tool, which is Mercury retrograde. It happens about 3 to 4 times a year, every year, for about 3.5 weeks. And because of the fact that the planets move around the sun, it appears as if planets are retrograding, meaning going backwards in relation to the Earth, which obviously in reality they are not. But it's a very relative perception here. Okay, so Mercury retrograde, this time I'm talking about the first one this year, 2025, and it starts happening on the 15th of March in 9 degrees of Aries. There is so much going on in March. I've made a previous video titled Hot Mess. If you want to have a look at it, listen to it. I think you may find it quite useful. But at the moment, with Mercury retrograde, we also have Venus retrograde. Venus retrogrades for 6 weeks, so it's a longer period of time. But interestingly, it retrogrades within the same part of the zodiac. So between 24-25 degrees of Pisces and 9 degrees, 10 degrees of Aries. So this area of your chart is hyper activated throughout March and will be, the activation will manifest itself over the coming 6 months at least, because we also have eclipses in these 2 points. So it's like literally, as I mentioned earlier, quadruple effect of these 2 points in your chart of how it's going to be affected. So definitely check where 9 degrees of Aries, 10 degrees of Aries falls in your chart, maybe like 1-2 degrees on the sides, but also 24-25 degrees of Pisces, because in this chunk of zodiac, this is where both Mercury and Venus are retrograding. So when I just boil it down strictly to Mercury retrograde, it starts on the 15th of March, which means that in relation to the Earth, it appears as if Mercury is slowing down, let's say for about a week before 15th of March. It slows down, stations retrograde on the 15th of March, and then it starts retrograding, and then this is happening until 7th of April. On the 7th of April, Mercury slows down again in relation to the Earth, stations direct, and then moves forward. Because it covers this chunk of the zodiac, there is also so-called shadow zone, which means that when is actually Mercury between 24 degrees of Pisces and 9 degrees of Aries. This is actually throughout the whole of March and throughout the whole of April. Okay, so we have the shadow zone covered for a bit longer period of time, like with every retrograde, which means that all the things I'm going to discuss, the effect of Mercury retrograde, may be happening around the themes, around the subjects that you might have been thinking or talking about at the very beginning of March, let's say 26th, 27th of February, something might have come up in your life. And then when Mercury moved forward and kind of stopped, went backwards, etc., this area of your life, these subjects that have been brought up or you've been intensely thinking about, are going to be revised, rethought, revisited throughout these few weeks of Mercury retrograde. Okay, so we are looking at the symbolism of Mercury itself. It's anything to do with communication, thinking processes, mental energy, how we think, what we think about, how we communicate, how our messages come across, how we perceive other people's energy and what they tell us. This is the planet of friends, friendships, connections, networking, siblings, neighbors, people that we connect with on everyday level. This is very much about trade as well, tariffs. It has to do with short travel. So let's say, going to work or going shopping and back, etc. So anything to do with logistics, travel, communication, friends, siblings, neighbors, our daily connections, our daily network, okay, that we deal with. So when Mercury goes into retrograde motion, this is an opportunity to truly revisit certain beliefs, views, ideas. This is about redoing things on a mental level, okay? So it's about rethinking, reassessing, revisiting certain ideas, etc. about, to do with these themes I've mentioned, but also very individually is going to affect this house in your chart, meaning this area of your life where this part of the zodiac, end of Pisces and up to 10 degrees of Aries, falls. If it's in your first house, it will be very much about redesigning your image, or finding different solutions, doing things differently regarding your well-being, your health, prioritizing yourself or not, etc. If it, let's say, falls in your 7th house, it will be very much about revisiting themes of relationships, partnerships, how you connect to people, how you form partnerships and fusions, etc. If it falls, let's say, in your 5th house, it will be very much about redesigning how you approach entertainment, fun in life, or intimate area of life. So it's very individual. If it also affects certain planet or point in your personal chart, of course this will add the meaning to it. So it is still very individual. It's good to consult an astrologer, or at least have a look at your chart and see where this falls, okay? But the general theme of Aries and Pisces, because this is where Mercury will be retrograding. Okay, so we have two very kind of contradicting energies when it comes to expression of Mercury. Mercury in Virgo, Aries, that's what I meant. Mercury in Aries is very direct. It's about speaking up first, not thinking about consequences, fire, throwing yourself into fire, arguments, not really thinking very much about how other people are going to be affected by what you say, just like speaking from the top of your head. And then when we have Mercury in Pisces, because Mercury in Aries is going to run up to 15th of March, and then for the last 2 weeks of March it's still in Aries, so it's like revisiting, rethinking, redesigning, reassessing certain ideas, but still with this fiery touch, like, who cares, I'll just do it, I'm going to shout, I'm going to scream, I'm going to jump ahead and say it without being very spontaneous and combative, okay? But then when Mercury in its retrograde motion goes back to Pisces on the 30th, 31st of March, and it stays in Pisces for the following few weeks until second part of April. This is when we are going to become there's much more reflection, okay? Especially that we have Neptune and North Node there as well. So it's time for reflection. Suddenly communication will go quiet, we will go within, we'll soften up, we'll still be revisiting, revaluing, reassessing our ideas and connections with people and how we communicate, but on a much more spiritual, intuitive level. Much more private, much more, let's say, charitable, compassionate, etc. level, okay? And this is Mercury in Pisces. And then it leaves Pisces and moves back into Aries, second half of April, because it stations direct on the 7th of April. It just gathers speed over these last few degrees of Pisces, and then it transfers, moves, ingresses into Aries, and then for the rest of April, end of April, May, it stays in Aries, okay? So this is when we will have an opportunity to apply this changed attitude. It's an opportunity to reapply our amended view on our connections, how we communicate, maybe relationship with siblings, relationship with neighbors, short distance travel, anything to do with how we learn, how we pass information, how we listen. We will then have this opportunity to apply the updated, let's say, reassessed view on these areas of our life. So it's a very useful tool. I hope you guys make the most of it. A lot of beautiful things happen on Mercury retrograde, especially when you have to study, for example. It's really good time to go back. It's all about going back and rethinking certain things, or relearning certain things, okay? Or changing our approach, because we are, again, reassessing what we truly think about certain people or situations, and then when Mercury moves direct again, we apply this new approach and life moves forward, okay? That's how it works. I hope you make the most of it. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.